What's up guys, Jim here from Budget RC. If you have a child that you're buying Christmas presents for this year, I'm going to help give you a crash course on RC cars with a focus on helping you pick the right option for whoever you're buying for this year. So stick around. So let's get right into this. The first decision to make is whether you're going to buy a toy grade RC car or a hobby grade RC car. The toy grade stuff is what you find at Walmart and other department stores. These vehicles tend to have some great looks, but usually the benefits pretty much end right there. The vast majority of them are very cheaply made and have very limited capabilities. Toy grade RCs tend to have very low top speeds, poor steering, and rudimentary suspensions, if any at all. What that means is that whoever uses the vehicle is likely to grow bored with it very quickly, relegating it to the back of the toy box in no time. Most toy grade vehicles won't go through grass or rough terrain, they won't climb obstacles, and they go too slow to be fun for long, even on smooth surfaces. And the worst part about a toy grade RC, they're not upgradable or repairable. If your kid likes it enough to keep using it, eventually they will break it. And when that happens, you throw it in the trash and you wind up with a heartbroken kid. Most toy grade RCs will cost you between $60 and $100. So you're talking about a lot of money for something that'll end up in the trash. And at $30 to $40 is a pretty safe option if funds are very limited and if that child likes a slower, more technical type of car. So let's talk about hobby grade cars. By moving up to a hobby grade RC, there are some significant advantages. First and foremost, they're more reliable and repairable, so your investment is protected. Additionally, they are much more capable. They go faster, they handle better, and they go more places than the toy grade stuff. So they should keep the interest of the youngster for a lot longer. One more great thing about the hobby grade RCs is that they're upgradable. So as long as their skills grow, so can the capabilities of the vehicle. My son is 9 and still uses the same RC car that I got for him when he was 3 because we were able to keep upgrading it as his skills increased. With hobby grade RC cars, the sky is the limit when it comes to costs, but you can get into some nice hobby grade RCs for as little as $100, which is what a lot of the toy grade stuff costs. Now that I've hopefully talked you into considering a hobby grade RC car, now I want to explain the differences between the myriad of sizes and styles that are out there so that you can make a smart purchasing decision. First, let's talk about size. RC cars come in all sorts of sizes, ranging from tiny 1/64th scale all the way up to big 1/5 scale. The most common size is 1/10 scale, and that's what I'm going to recommend for a few reasons. Bigger RCs can not only cost a ton of money, but putting a 20-pound, 50-mile-per-hour missile into the hands of a child can result in some pretty significant damage to things like pets, cars, or ankles. So I don't think that they're a good idea for a beginner. On the opposite end of the scale are a bunch of smaller RCs, like 1/18th scale. A lot of people gravitate toward these because they're inexpensive, and there seems to be this natural association that small toys are best suited to small people. The problem with the size is that they're still way too big and powerful to be used inside unless you have a huge basement or an empty 2-car garage. But they're still too small to go over most of the terrain you encounter outside. 99% of the time, a kid will use an RC car in the backyard, in the grass, in a dirt driveway, or in a street that's full of curbs and miscellaneous obstacles. Small vehicles are essentially useless in all of these conditions, so unless you live next door to a skate park or plan to use them only on pavement, the smaller cars end up going unused. I picked up a 1/18 scale monster truck just like this for a friend's kid for his birthday, and as far as I know, he used it one time and never touched it again. For this reason, I feel like 1/10 scale RC cars are that sweet spot where you get the benefit of being able to use them on a wide range of terrains without the costs or the dangers of the larger vehicles. The one exception here would be if the child does have a large enough indoor space to use them, like I'd mentioned before. In that case, something like the 1/28 scale team associated trucks are a great option, and they won't break the bank at $50 a piece. I have these 1/28 scale WL Toys trucks, and we have fun setting up a race course with cereal box jumps in my garage. But for everybody else, I'll stand by my recommendation for 1/10 scale. Now that I've recommended a size, I want to break down all of the different types of RC cars that you can get within that 1/10 scale. There's a lot of variety here, but I'm going to break it down into three main groups. You've got on-road cars, off-road cars, and crawlers. Right away, I'm going to take the on-road group off the table for the same reasons that I did with 1/18 scale, because you're very limited on where you can use them. Even if the child lives where they have immediate access to a nice large paved area, most kids will grow bored with that limited application of only one type of use very quickly. So that leaves off-road vehicles and crawlers. Both can be a great option depending on what you think they might prefer. My son prefers the excitement of going fast, whereas my daughter, she prefers the relaxing walks on hiking trails that we take with our crawlers. In my experience though, the majority of kids seem to prefer the excitement of going fast, setting up jumps, doing wheelies and donuts, and all of those sort of things that go hand in hand with the typical off-road vehicles. If you think your child would be more interested in the slower, more technical side of RC, then the crawler is the way to go. The places that these trucks can go is extremely impressive, and there's an endless supply of obstacles out there to challenge them with. The one caveat to the crawlers is that in my experience, because they spend their time in such harsh, rougher terrain, breakage is inevitable. So you've got to keep that in mind with this segment. Because of the increased demands on these vehicles, you also tend to have a lot less options in the lower end of the price range. $300 to $350 is generally the entry point for this type of vehicle, although for $200 there is this Redcat Gen 7 Sport, which I'm a really big fan of. I have a whole video series devoted just to this truck, and I use mine a lot. But you do need to be prepared to make frequent repairs with this truck, so just keep that in mind. Stepping up to the $350 level can get you into a Traxxas TRX4 Sport, which is a fantastic vehicle and very durable with only a few minor but potentially expensive exceptions, mainly being the steering servo. So this leaves us with the off-road segment, which is what I recommend for the majority of new RC owners. Within the off-road segment, you have a variety of vehicles. You have buggies, you have stadium trucks, short course trucks, and monster trucks. Plus, they're all available in two-wheel drive and four-wheel drive. What's the difference? Between two-wheel drive and four-wheel drive, the difference is that the four-wheel drive trucks tend to be more capable in rough terrain, easier to control in low traction environments, and more expensive. The controllability is really only a big benefit on the faster, more powerful types of trucks that I wouldn't recommend for a beginner though. In the more modestly powered vehicles, the two-wheel drive trucks are very controllable and less expensive. The 4x4s do have big benefits when you start to move up in speed and power and try to go through the nastier, rougher terrain. Now your last consideration is what type of vehicle, a buggy, a stadium truck, etc. My recommendation here has a lot to do with where you expect them to use the truck. If it's going to see a lot of use in grass and rougher terrain, then you're going to want to stick with something that has a lot of ground clearance. Monster trucks generally have the most ground clearance, followed by stadium trucks, then short course, and then finally buggies. They would have the least. On the flip side, as you reduce your ground clearance, handling improves. If they're going to be using them in shorter grass and in smoother terrain, then something like the short course truck or a buggy would be best. I tend to be a big fan of stadium trucks because I feel like they strike the perfect combination of versatility in the widest range of terrain. One of my favorite examples is this ECX Amp monster truck. They call it a monster truck, but in reality, it's a stadium truck. I started both of my kids with this type of vehicle. An ECX Circuit for my son, which is the exact same truck with somewhat higher quality electronics, and this amp for my daughter. It'll do okay in short grass, and it's a ton of fun in dirt driveways, skate parks, and bumpy dirt lots. It's available in hobby shops for $140 to $150, and you can even get it in a kit if that's something that you prefer. In my mind, it's one of the best values in RC. It's super durable, It's easy to work on, and it has adequate performance right out of the box. Plus, it's very upgradable. Like I said, my son's circuit started out just like that amp, but now it's got upgraded electronics capable of going 30 miles an hour, an upgraded body with lights, and upgraded monster truck tires for even better rough terrain driving. If you've got a few more dollars to spend, you can step up to a two-wheel drive monster truck like the Traxxas Stampede, the Traxxas Bigfoot, or this ECX Ruckus. The Ruckus uses a lot of the same components as the amp and the circuit, but it has a longer chassis and bigger tires, so it's more capable in the grass and in rougher terrain. This one has upgraded electronics and a new body. Another great option here is the Arrma Granite Voltage. It's a two-wheel drive monster truck for $100. I don't like it as much as the ECX trucks, but at $100 it's awful hard to find a lot to criticize. So before I summarize and wrap this up, I'm going to have both of my kids tell you about what types of vehicles they like and why. Nothing beats hearing right from the kids why they like something. So let's see what they've got to say with Henry's Corner.
Hi, it's Henry's Corner, and this is my OC cars. This is my fast one, and this is my crawler. I like my fast one because you can do cool tricks with it. I like the crawler because it looks cool and it looks like you're going on an adventure. I like the fast cars better because you can do cooler tricks, you like ramp stuff. And I like ramping stuff better than going kind of slow, and I like going faster. Hi, my name is Olivia. This is my fast RC car, and this is my crawler. I like this one since it's fast, and I like this one since it can crawl up stuff, but this one's my favorite one since it's slow and it can climb up stuff. Bye.
Now that you've got their perspectives, I wanted to wrap this up. But first, there's one last consideration that I want you to be aware of. As I mentioned before, one of the primary benefits to hobby grade RCs is that they're repairable. And this is huge because sooner or later they're all going to break. They all do eventually. With a toy grade RC, when that happens, you throw it in the trash, which leaves you with a disappointed child and the feeling of having wasted money. The hobby grade RCs have the benefit of repairability, but in order to take advantage of that, you've got to choose one with good parts support. And ideally one that your local hobby shop stocks the parts for. If this is the kids' only RC car, they're going to be bummed out if they have to wait a week or more for parts to arrive. So being able to get the parts at your local hobby shop is a huge plus. In my case, if I break an RC car, I have plenty of other ones to use in the meantime. And I'm almost never able to get to my local hobby shop when it's open anyway. So for me, my only concern is that there's good parts support online. Parts support is also why I wouldn't recommend some of the lower priced off-brand RCs that are available from places like eBay, Amazon, or any of the number of Chinese retail sites. Some of those vehicles represent a great value, and I have a bunch myself and I've done videos on a number of them, but no kid wants to wait a month for parts to come from China when they break something. So for their first RC, stick with a name brand that has local parts support. Hopefully you're well equipped to pick out the perfect RC car that's sure to make somebody really happy on Christmas Day. I'll have links below to all of the vehicles that I mentioned, along with my recommendations within specific price ranges. So make sure to look below in the video description. If you found this helpful, make sure to like the video, and if you still have any questions, go ahead and ask them in the comments below. If you did decide to get somebody an RC car for Christmas, let me know about that in the comments too. Hopefully you're well equipped to pick out the perfect RC car that's sure to make somebody very happy on Christmas Day. So guys, that's it. I really hope that this helped. Thanks for watching and Merry Christmas.